Hey, I'm Brent Johnson, and I want to share with you how Jesus changed my life. I grew up in Dallas in a Christian home, and I was at church every time the doors were open. That was normal for me, and I thought everyone would eventually become a Christian, and it was just a question of when. So I remember as a second grader thinking that I needed to go ahead and get it taken care of. I walked the aisle, and everyone came down and pinched my cheek, congratulated me, and I was baptized that night. Well, after that, I lived what I thought was the Christian life, going to church each week, learning more about God. And as a seventh grader, I went to church camp for the first time, and a lot of my friends were rededicating their life. So I thought that's the next step. I walked the aisle at church camp and told them I wanted to rededicate my life. I remember the guy talking to me asked me what prayer I prayed when I became a Christian. Well, I never prayed a prayer. I just became a Christian because I thought everyone was supposed to do that at some point. I made something up and got credit for rededicating my life. And so I went home and I was telling my family, and my mom asked me if she was wondering if I really knew what I was doing when I was in the second grade when I became a Christian. And when she asked me that, it really took me aback that that could actually happen, that you would think you became a Christian and really didn't. And so it's something that I pondered for years. And as a sophomore in high school, I finally had to come to terms with the fact that I became a Christian on my own terms and not on God's terms. And I knew enough about it at that point that I bowed my head at a church revival and asked the Lord to be the Lord and Master of my life. And so from that point on, of course, I learned a lot about living the Christian life through the years. And then at this point, I wanted to continue learning and growing. And God created in me a new creation. He gave me a new perspective, understood that that Him being my master, that He was the one that was in charge of my life and not me. I couldn't make decisions and do things that I wanted to do. I needed to find out what God wanted to do in my life and then be open and obedient to do it. John 3:16 says that God loved the world so much that He gave His only Son, so that whoever believes in Him will not perish, but have eternal life. That belief doesn't mean that you just think or have an inkling that God exists. It's the Greek word pistis, which means trust. And it means that you trust God to the point that you totally depended on Him. And so that's what I did as a sophomore, and that's what I'm continuing to do each day. Take up my cross, follow God, and ask Him to continue being my master and Lord. Looking for reasons to do things for Him and not for myself. Taking His perspective. So whether you're in a financial crisis, a health crisis, or even a spiritual crisis, God has a plan, and He wants you to come closer to Him as a result. And that's what I want for you. If you've not taken the time to ask Jesus Christ to be your Lord and Master, this is a great time to do it. It doesn't even take a prayer. It just takes a commitment on your part to follow Him and then find out what He wants you to do.